come, Ray. The one constant through all the years, Ray, has been baseball.
Little roller up along first. Behind the bag. It gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win. Now the 2-1. Line drive to base hit. Just as it scored the tying run. Green to the plate. And he is safe. Safe at the plate. The Braves go to the World Series.
Have reserved seats somewhere along one of the baseline that sat when they were children and cheered their heroes.
Gibson swings and a fly ball to deep right field. This is going to be a home run. Unbelievable!
A 3-run home run for Bucky Dent. The Yankees now lead by a score of 3-2.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mazeroski has hit a 1-0 pitch over the left field fence at Ford Field to win the 1960 World Series.
They'll arrive at your door as innocent as children, longing for the past.
The Pope arrived at Yankee Stadium. As one enthusiastic announcer put it, he is standing on second base.
Reggie Jackson. Long drive right field. It is goodbye. Big World Series for the Yankees.
The Blue Jays are World Series champions as Joe Carter hits a 3-run home run.
Back and throw. There's a left back. It's going to be, I believe, the Giants from the pennant. The Giants from the pennant. The Giants from the pennant.
The 0-1 pitch. A liner off Nagy's glove into center field. The Florida Marlins have won the World Series.
The memories will be so thick that I can brush them away from their faces.
The 1-0 delivery to Fisk. He swings, long drive, left field. If it stays there, it's gone. Home run. The Red Sox win. And the series is...
Lonich fires. Ball is hit high in the air. This should be the series. Freehand waving everybody away in foul territory. Detroit wins.
Here's the pitch to Willie. There's a liner straight to Richardson. The ball game is over and the World Series is over. Willie McCovey hit it like a bullet. A line drive right
Baseball to mark the time.
The Oakland A's take. I'll tell you what, we're having a
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Candlestick Park for Game 3 of the 1989 World Series.
It's been erased like a blackboard, rebuilt and erased again.
Frank Robinson, the right-hand batter.
long drive to left field. Way back. It's hit goodbye. Home run.
Base hit loaded, 1 out. Pena in a jam. The Twins are going to win the World Series. The Twins have won it.
Ozzie with 1 out. Smith corks one into right down the line. It may go. Go crazy, folks. Go crazy. It's a home run. And the
Willie Mays just brought this crowd to its feet with a catch, which must have been an optical illusion to a lot of people.
This field, this game, is a part of our past, Ray. It reminds us of all that once was good, and it could be again.
Broadcasted live.
Who wants to have some fun?
There are balls coming from all over the place. Left field, center field, right field. See, this is the kind of thing, quite honestly, right now, that makes you want to see the Chicago Cubs team lose.
Now, you just saying you want to have fun, or do you really want to have fun?
It'll be fun.
Will the next person that sees anybody throw anything onto this field, point them out, and get them out of here? You don't live in Cleveland. You live in Cincinnati.
You talking to me? You talking to me?
That is the farthest thing in the universe from the truth.
Hello, everyone, live. It's the Dan Scott Show. And right there is your host, Dan Scott.
Good morning, everybody. On the fly, it's the Dan Scott Show here on this Thursday edition on a beautiful day here in upstate South Carolina. Dan Scott, Forrest Stulting. Hope that everything is going well with you as this Thursday is just getting underway. And you know our goal here, if it's going well, we'll try not to screw it up. If it's not going well, then maybe something that we say or do during this next hour will provide a little bit of a lift for you. That is our hope. We've got a good show lined up for you today, a busy show. You saw the screen updating on the fly there, some things we're going to be talking about today. Our usual college football picks on Thursdays. Billy Davis, the former Clemson two-sport star and retired U.S. Secret Service agent, will be with us after spending last week in Norway with Franklin Graham. The Major League Baseball awards continue. Last night it was the Cy Young Awards, and tonight the final awards handed out.
The Big Daddy. The
League Most Valuable Player Awards. The UCLA suspensions. The players are back in the country, and I think Billy will have a few things to say about that whole scenario. And then you saw what we added there at the end if you were watching right as we were coming on. The USC Upstate here locally announcing that it's heading to the Big South Conference. We'll have some thoughts on that as well. Busy show today. How you doing?
Doing good, Dan. A little stiff in my neck, but besides that, we're doing really well. How about yourself?
I'm good. I was in an uncommonly good mood this morning, and I don't know if it's just a factor of age. Or circumstances, or both, but I seem to be leaning more and more in the mornings. I want to stay in bed. I don't want to get up, and B, when I do get up, I'm almost always here lately anyway in what I would call the crotchety old man syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
Today was not the case. Today it was kind of a bouncy morning from the very beginning, and it's been a good day so far, so hopefully we'll keep that momentum rolling, and maybe we can start a string of these instead. But anyway, if you're just joining us for the first time, as you can see from what we have on the agenda today, we kind of go in a broad area of the world of sports. We talk things here locally, regionally, statewide, national sports. But we always start right at the very beginning of the program doing something that nobody else does, and that's giving our Furman teams here on campus some notoriety, a little bit of love on a daily basis, going through the schedule, going through results, and things of that nature. So Forrest has that for us, and then our trivia question, and then we'll be heading into the deeper and broader aspect of the program. But so what we got going on with our Furman teams here?
All right. Last night, women's basketball, they beat Davidson 65-62. It was a great performance by the women.
Nice win.
They had some really good freshmen step up last night against a really good Davidson team, so props to them for that big win last night. Softball, they had some signings yesterday. Savannah Hughes from Mays, Kansas. Natalie Morgan from Martin, Georgia. Mackenzie Greco from Aberdeen, Maryland. So that's going to be a good class for them next year. Men's tennis, they also had a signing. James, I've been practicing his name all last night, Dan. Rolofsa from Cape Town, South Africa. So that's a Rolofsa. I even Googled his name and looked at a YouTube video to make sure I got it right.
Rolofsa.
Rolofsa. So the no games tonight for the Paladins, but tomorrow we'll get back in it with volleyball. They'll play the 8-9 winner in the quarterfinals of the SoCon tournament.
Yeah, and then Saturday, of course, you have football in Birmingham closing out the regular season, which we'll talk a little bit more about coming up with the playoffs. You know, I hesitate to say with the playoffs on the line because I feel really confident that Furman's in the playoffs. I don't have any guarantee of that, any inside knowledge, but I think what is on the line is the possibility of hosting a first-round game. And folks, I'm telling you, if it rains like they say it's going to rain down in Birmingham, that really bodes well for Furman, I believe. And I don't know where Mark Normington got this stat that he dropped in the Facebook comments section, but it sounds good. He said that Samford is 0-6 in games they've played in the rain since Chris Hatcher has taken over.
That's a good stat right
there,
Mark.
That's
I like that.
That's a great stat. Even if it's not accurate, it sounded good to say.
I like it.
Going into what they're talking about, a heavy chance of rain on Saturday afternoon down in Birmingham. So you know what? We'll take it.
You got that right, Dan. Anything we can get to get that 7th victory in the SoCon play.
Basketball is in Indianapolis on Saturday, and just a reminder, that will be an internet-only broadcast because of the bumping heads with football on FurmanPaladins.com via Stretch Audio. Bryant Lambert and Tom Van Hoy will have that call for you up at historic Hinkle Fieldhouse in Indianapolis. And then they will also be traveling with the team to Durham for the Monday night game at Duke. The only downside to that broadcast for those two guys is I've already been there. I've already broadcast from there and covered other games there. So with football and the coach's show, I said, well, just stay on the trip and go with them. They don't get the experience of climbing into the crow's nest.
Yep.
Crow's
That's
nest.
got to be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity right there.
Crow's nest has been deemed unsafe, which would have been nice to have heard 3 years ago when I had to drag my large carcass up those stairs, up that ladder, and into that area. So they don't have to do that. They've set up a place at the top of the stands now temporarily, and then looking for a more permanent thing, I guess, next year.
Surprised it took them that long to deem it unsafe.
Yeah. But they finally did, and I think broadcasters all across America are saying thank you very much. Anyway, so that is what's coming up basketball-wise. Football, though, that's kind of the thing that we're mainly focusing on because of what's at stake, and hopefully we've not played our last game at Paladin Stadium
Completely
this year.
agree. We got a good home field advantage here, so let's take that and run with it, Dan.
All right, what do we have trivia-wise today?
Going to stick with Furman football. The question is, when was the last time Furman football won 7 SoCon games in a regular season?
When was the last time Furman football won 7 SoCon games in the regular season? That's a good question.
I believe it's happened 3 times in the history of Paladin football.
I would have thought it would have happened more than that.
I guess in the 80s they didn't always have that many teams in the conference, so that would be the reason why. So
yeah, okay, that's a good point. It's a point well taken. All right, leave your guesses in the Facebook Live comment section or in the Twitter/Periscope comment section, and we'll get to those and see what the answer is coming up at the end of the broadcast today. Let's step out and take a break. And as we do, I'll remind you about our friends at the Atlanta Bread Company. Just a heads up, on the Tuesday after Thanksgiving, so we're looking ahead, I guess, 2 weeks from a couple of days ago, Atlanta Bread Company is actually going to be closed. And they're going to be closed because they are installing a new cash register system. They're installing a new proofer, I guess, for the bread and other things, and they're doing all. He got amazingly enough. Tell me if you've ever heard of this happening before. He got 3 different contractors doing 3 different jobs, all agree to be there at the same time and get it all knocked out in one day.
Wow!
You know anything about the construction industry?
It's tough.
That ain't happening. I mean, so that is the trifecta on steroids, basically. Bottom line is that they're going to get it all knocked out in one day so it won't inconvenience you. But never fear. A little birdie tells me that if you show up at the front door on that Tuesday, you will find yourself handed some free coffee and cookies.
Oh, wow.
That's an extreme
little treat right there.
Extreme possibility as their way of saying sorry for the inconvenience and thank you for understanding. They are located in Cherrydale Plaza. Great food, great people. But just remember that the Tuesday after Thanksgiving, they'll be closed, but you might be able to get you some free goodies if you kind of wander to the front door.
Might stop by and check that out, Dan.
Do that. We'll take a break and come back and get into the meat of the program on the other side as the Dan Scott Show continues right after this.
Looking for a good lunch spot in the Travelers Rest area? The Cafe at Williams Hardware is your place. Williams Hardware has food for the whole family, from the famous Reuben to the barbecue chicken quesadilla and their daily lunch specials, which includes the award-winning BLT on pimento cheese with pepper jelly, served Tuesday to Thursday. Williams Hardware also serves breakfast on Saturdays from 8 to 11, perfect before Furman home game. And don't forget the gift shop, which offers items for anyone on your list. Go see your friends at the Cafe at Williams Hardware, 13 South Main Street in downtown TR. Full menu and operating hours at the Cafe at WilliamsHardware.com.
So you've got a busted phone or tablet screen. Time to get a new device? Nope. Time to give it CPR. CPR cell phone repair at Cherrydale can repair almost any phone or tablet screen on the market and usually can do it same day. In fact, if you have an iPhone, the fix usually takes less than an hour. CPR cell phone repair also can fix computers and gaming systems, both screens and hard drives. And they sell refurbished devices and new accessories. Stop by and see the new owner, Janet Culver, today and check them out on Facebook. That's CPR cell phone repair at Cherrydale, 864-282-9097. Give it CPR today.
Hey Furman fans, it's baseball season. Here at Ingalls, we know that as you root for the home team, sometimes you want more than just peanuts and Cracker Jack. And while we do deliver on your favorite ballpark classics, we're proud to offer a packed lineup of everything you need to make your next meal a home run. Ingalls, a proud sponsor of Furman Baseball and the official grocery store of Furman Athletics. Go Dins!
The Atlanta Bread Company at Cherrydale Point offers a dining experience that will have you coming back for more time and time again. Everything is freshly made on site, including the different varieties of bread and all the baked goodies. And the menu, Atlanta Bread Company offers a wide variety from hot soups and chili to hot and cold sandwiches and paninis. Even breakfast selections topped off with your choice of piping hot coffees. Come see for yourself. You'll love it. The Atlanta Bread Company at Cherrydale Point, proud sponsors of the Furman Paladins and the Dan Scott Show. All right, welcome back to the show. And thanks for tuning in today. As always, whether you're on Facebook or watching on Periscope/Twitter, or even YouTube, if you happen to be watching there, share the link right now and help us grow the audience. We need to get more eyes on this thing and go from there. But in any event, we welcome you back to the program, and let's get into our three things. Where are we going to start today?
I think the picks.
I'll start with the picks.
What you think?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, game number 1, number 24, Michigan versus number 5, Wisconsin. This is a must-win for the Badgers if they want to remain in the hunt for a spot in the college football playoff. This will be a defensive struggle. Both teams have stout defenses. Wisconsin's number 1 in defense. Michigan's number 2 in defense in the country. The difference will be the quarterback for Wisconsin, though, Alex Hornbrook. He has 12 INTs on the year, and Michigan gets a few turnovers deep in Badgers territory to win a close one.
Where's the game?
Wisconsin.
Give me the Badgers.
Oh.
Give me the Badgers. The Harbaugh myth gets chipped away a little further.
They've won 3 in a row, though.
And he's been oddly quiet during that time,
He has
too.
been. I like that, actually.
Yeah.
Maybe put him in his place a little bit. I just think this is the week that Wisconsin falls without having a really good passing game. Michigan's going to load the box up and really stop Jonathan Taylor from doing anything between the tackles.
This is starting to get like who is it that you kept putting into the upsets that you kept thinking was going to upset?
It's probably Penn State.
No.
The Big Ten.
No. When we do our upset picks on Fridays, there's one team that you kept putting in there that you thought was going to be a team that
deliver the up. Oh, Indiana.
Indiana, yes.
Okay, yeah.
This is starting to get to be like your Indiana
just
fetish.
a little flip flop.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just don't believe in the Badgers. I don't. They got a really good defense, but their offense is nothing to be afraid of. So I think the Wolverines are going to come through.
I think you got to be afraid of their running game.
Oh, I to some degree, yeah. But whenever you're that one dimensional, I think that is where the differences will lie. for the Wolverines.
Well, let's find out.
Yes, sir. It's going to be a fun. I think it's like an 11 o'clock kickoff too, an early game.
Nice.
So
all right. So he's got Michigan. I've got Wisconsin in game 1.
All right. Game number 2. Texas versus West Virginia.
Not even close. Move on.
The Longhorns are fighting to become bowl eligible and have a record above 500. The key matchup here to watch will be the Mountaineers offense versus the Longhorns defense. But the return of All-American offensive tackle Connor Williams for Texas will be the spark they need on offense for the Longhorns. And the Longhorns hook the Mountaineers and become bowl eligible.
Wow.
Yep.
Nope. West Virginia wins. West Virginia wins. The Will Greer to David Stills combination, which last I checked, 16 touchdown passes between just those two.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty strong.
I would say that
West Virginia's still got hopes of playing in a Big 12 championship game. So they will beat Texas.
I will say this, though, Dan. They gave up 10 points to Oklahoma State, 24 to TCU, and only 29 to Oklahoma. So that's pretty good defense by the Longhorns right there to hold those powerful offenses to under 30 points.
That's fine. I'm still taking West Virginia.
I'm not persuasive enough, Dan?
No. Nope, let's go Mountaineers.
Hook 'em horns, baby. Game number 3, UCLA versus number 11 USC. We get a preview of rivalry week with this crosstown rival game. Things have not worked out this year for the Bruins, but they still have a dangerous team, and that's led by QB Josh Rosen. The Trojans sport their own dynamic QB with Sam Darnold at the helm. This game will come down to defense, and USC's defense is by far the superior of the two. I'm picking the Trojans.
I'm taking the Trojans as well, which probably means UCLA will win this game because I've not been high on the Trojans all year.
Oh, man.
And so I'm going to take USC to win this game, and which probably means UCLA will. So
that's going to be tough. The Bruins, they've struggled a lot on defense this year. And even whenever Rosen has been in there, he has had a little bit of a struggle, but I think he averaged like 380 yards in the air a game. So if he can play well, it's going to be a tight one, I think.
All right, there we go. Those are your first round of the picks, and we'll do the potential upsets on tomorrow's show, like always.
Yes, sir.
All right. What's thing 2?
We'll go ahead and preview the UCLA since we're going to let Billy Davis talk about that a little bit.
Well, why don't we do it the other way? Why don't we just kind of introduce that topic when he comes on? Because I think that's probably going to carry most of what we talk about.
Sure.
With him.
That's fine with me.
And that way we can talk some Major League Baseball stuff right now.
Let's do it.
In the next 4 or 5 minutes.
Cy Young Awards were announced last night. The National League recipient was Max Scherzer, his second straight and third overall. He won it for the Tigers in 2013. A couple of notes for Max Scherzer. He is the 6th pitcher to win the NL Cy Young Award in consecutive seasons. Sandy Koufax, Greg Maddux, Randy Johnson, Tim Lincecum, and Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah, Maddux won 4 in a row.
Yeah, that was just unbelievable stuff from him. The vote totals are this. Max Scherzer garnered 27 first-place votes, 3 second-place votes. Clayton Kershaw got the other 3 first-place votes and got 25 second-place votes. So this is pretty much a dominant showing for Max Scherzer here. Are you surprised at all he won this award, Dan?
Not really. I mean he's elite. Mm-hmm. You'd be hard pressed to find an argument that if you said that right now he and Kershaw are the 2 most elite pitchers in the National League.
No, I would agree.
So
I think Strasburg has an argument to be maybe on that fringe of being in that trio as well.
Thing with Strasburg is putting together those years consistently, staying healthy and pitching at that high level, that high intensity level for 2, 3, 4, 5, even 6 years in a row, which he hasn't done. one of the reasons that Kershaw is elite, one of the reasons that Scherzer is elite is because they've been this good for an extended period of time.
Yep.
Strasburg is, don't get me wrong, Strasburg is incredibly good, but he has been derailed, slowed by injuries. He's had some times when he hasn't pitched as dominantly. So I think potentially, yeah, but he's also, you turn around and look now, he's been in the league for what, 6 years?
Yeah, I would say
something
7,
like
8
that?
years now. Yeah, I think.
So he's starting to get a little long in the tooth.
Yep.
So if he's going to become that consistently elite guy, now would be kind of the time to turn it on. But right now, I don't think you can argue that in the National League, Scherzer and Kershaw are the two top pitchers.
I think you're absolutely right about that. I think Strasburg would easily fall in that number 3 slot. But as you said, Dan, his injuries have prevented him from being that dominant guy. We've seen flashes of him being dominant, but not for entire seasons, and that would make the difference in being outside of that top 2. Scherzer's numbers on the year: 2.51 ERA, 200 2/3 innings pitched, 55 walks, 268 strikeouts. That led the NL, and a .90 WHIP, which led the NL as well. So pretty dominant numbers from Max Scherzer. On the AL side, the award winner was Corey Kluber, his 2nd overall. His final 23 starts were just dominant, Dan. These numbers are: he had a 1.62 ERA and a slash line of 175, 213, 283, which is average on base percentage and slugging percentage. And to have teams slug under 300 against you is just dominant.
Yeah, well, and again, he has been an elite pitcher for a number of years now, and so his 2nd award?
Yep,
his 2nd Cy Young award. So I'd say not any real surprise on either one of those two.
No, I'd say not either. Chris Sale was 2nd. Corey Kluber got 28 first place votes and 2, and Chris Sale got 2 first place votes, and he was only really challenger. But with how bad of September Chris Sale had, I think he kind of pitched his way out of this award because he had like a 5.5 ERA for the month of September with like 6 or 7 starts. And so when you do that, that's just not going to bode well for your chances to win the award. But overall, his numbers for the year: 2.25 ERA, which led the entire MLB, 203 innings pitched, 36 walks, which is pretty good. 265 strikeouts, a .87 WHIP, which led the MLB, and 11.7 strikeouts per 9. So he's just as dominant as they come.
Yeah. And somewhere Scott Keeler is celebrating.
You got that right. That's probably why he's not joining us today so far. He's probably doing something that Scott only does.
Yeah. And you're probably right about that. All right. Tomorrow we'll be talking about the final awards. The big ones, the most valuable player awards, will be announced today.
And I say this, Dave, I heard from Michael Kay, the Yankees broadcaster, he got a credible text from somebody that Aaron Judge was going to win the MVP in the AL. Not sure if that's going to happen, but I'm just saying what Michael Kay supposedly heard from a credible source. I'm not sure who that credible source was.
The Yankee propaganda machine
got that right.
Running
It's turning.
strong,
Yes,
man.
sir.
Is running strong. All right, we'll go to break. We'll come back, and Billy Davis will join us on the other side. U.S. Secret Service agent for all those years, a lot of experience in international matters. What does he think about the UCLA suspensions and the whole Chinese issue? We'll talk about that when we come back right after this. Don't go away.
Stuck in a state of falling behind? Struggling to keep up with your kids, finances, insurance? Then let State Farm agent Steve Borkland in Traveler's Rest help you simplify and get to a better state. Because with Steve handling your auto, home, and life insurance, you'll have more time for everything else. More money, too, because adding State Farm policies could mean earning discounts worth up to 40%. That's money Steve can help you put towards a college savings plan. Call State Farm agent Steve Borkland today and get to a better state with State Farm.
Let me tell you something, Cowboy. This rookie can really bring the heat.
He's smoky and spicy with a Chipotle style all his own.
It's a new Montgomery Inn Chipotle barbecue sauce. Make it a part of your home team.
Available now at your neighborhood grocer or online at CincyFavorites.com.
Looking for a good lunch spot in the Travelers Rest area? The Cafe at Williams Hardware is your place. Williams Hardware has food for the whole family, from the famous Reuben to the barbecue chicken quesadilla and their daily lunch specials, which includes the award-winning BLT unpimiented cheese with pepper jelly, served Tuesday to Thursday. Williams Hardware also serves breakfast on Saturdays from 8 to 11, perfect before Furman home game. And don't forget their gift shop, which offers items for anyone on your list. Go see your friends at the Cafe at Williams Hardware, 13 South Main Street in downtown TR. Full menu and operating hours at thecafeatwilliamshardware.com.
Say you've got a busted phone or tablet screen. Time to get a new device? Nope. Time to give it CPR. CPR Cell Phone Repair at Cherrydale can repair almost any phone or tablet screen on the market and usually can do it same day. In fact, if you have an iPhone, the fix usually takes less than an hour. CPO Cell Phone Repair also can fix computers and gaming systems, both screens and hard drives. And they sell refurbished devices and new accessories. Stop by and see the new owner, Janet Culver, today and check them out on Facebook. That's CPR Cell Phone Repair at Cherrydale, 864-282-9097. Give it CPR today. All right, welcome back to the show. It is 10:30 straight up here on this gorgeous day in the upstate of South Carolina. Hope that your day is going well. Dan Scott and Forrest Stulting here. We are headed to the aptly named celebrity guest line. We're hanging out in the luxurious parking lot of a gas station in Leesburg, Virginia, is our next guest.
The great defined town of Leesburg,
That's
Virginia.
right. Billy Davis joining us here on the show this morning after a week in Oslo, Norway. Billy, how are you, man?
Fantastic. Yeah, Leesburg's beautiful. You ever been up this way?
Oh, yeah.
Right outside of, Leesburg's nice. Doing good. Happy to be back home, although Norway and Oslo itself is a absolutely beautiful place and really nice folks over there. So, but did what we had to do over there and spread the gospel, and now we're back talking sports.
Yeah, I saw some of the stuff from Franklin Graham's Facebook feed and his Twitter feed. It seemed like the meetings were well received over there, so that was very good to see.
Yes.
Want to draw on your experience as I was joking with you when I called you during the break as an international lawman.
Yes.
During your time in the Secret Service, you had to deal with all sorts of things. So you've got as good a perspective as any on this whole situation with the 3 UCLA basketball players getting arrested in China and everything that's happened there. I'm just interested. First things first, when you saw that story break, what was your first impression?
Probably like everyone else's, how stupid can you be? I mean, and I'm glad that when you brought this situation up, you mentioned that I was an international lawman and not a former Division I college athlete that could relate to people getting in trouble. No,
we could go down that road as well, based on some of the stories you've told me in the past, but I thought we would, at least for the moment, draw on the high road experience, and then maybe we can get into the low road experience as well.
Yeah, that's just, I'm sure that you and Forrest feel the same way that I do, and the vast majority of your listeners, that you're thinking to yourself, what in the world are these guys thinking? And then not only that, but add on to it that you're in a foreign country. And not only that, but that you're in communist China. Which is a totalitarian state, which they do not hesitate to throw people in prison for a long time.
Yeah, just to kind of put this in perspective, I was reading a story this morning about a former football player from Ball State who is in jail in China right now, and he was accused of being involved in a fight in a bar in which a guy said that he hit him with a bottle and caused him to lose an eye. There's video evidence that was shown in court that there was no fight, that the guy had a pre-existing injury that caused him to lose his eye, and he's still sitting in jail right now 4 months after the trial, waiting on a verdict to be handed down. So it's no wonder that the Chinese prosecutors are touting, Billy, that they've got a 99.2 successful prosecution rate.
Yes.
No, of course, it's a totalitarian state. They do what they want to do. They don't have the same rule of law and the Constitution and all the other things that we have in this country. And let's not forget that a lot of collegiate athletes at that level, if you're a basketball player at UCLA, you're, for lack of a better term, bulletproof. You think you can pretty much do what you want to do when you want to do it. Those guys obviously probably been catered to for most of their lives, and so they just think they think they're in LA and they're gonna get a slap on the wrist because they're a UCLA basketball player. And as Lee Corso would say, not so fast, my friend. Yeah, but once again, these guys live those kind of lives. I just can't even. I saw it. I was just like, as they would say, just shaking my head, just thinking, what in the world goes through these young people's minds that think they're going to do that? And they're not only representing the University of California at Los Angeles, but they're also representing the United States. So that's probably not. Can you imagine if there was some university in Beijing that was playing over here in LA and some of their student athletes were caught shoplifting, which I'd venture to say probably not going to happen. But kids don't understand sometimes. There's very little self-awareness of who you are and what you're representing. So shaking my head, but credit to the current president who exercised a little bit of diplomacy there and contacted the president of China, and they actually worked things out, because if it wasn't for that, those guys, who knows what would happen to them. They don't play any games over there.
Yeah, it's just really a head shaking situation. Like you said, I had the same exact reaction you did, and I told Forrest before we started the show, I said, when we bring Billy on, I guarantee you the word he's going to use is, what did I tell you? Stupid.
Yeah.
And that's exactly the word that you use, because I think that's the word everybody is using.
Let's just call it like it is. I mean, we all have kids, and we've all been around, Division I collegiate athletes or Division II or whatever you want to call it, and that's just not using your, God-given thinking ability there. But once again, I go back to a lot of those guys think they're bulletproof. They can get away with a lot of things that normal people can't. And, well, this is a perfect example. If those were just 3 normal college students from UCLA over there, I highly doubt that the President of the United States would have gotten involved. But since they're high-profile athletes, representing the UCLA basketball program, he got involved. So, once again, there are different rules for different folks.
Head coach Steve Alford said that they will be suspended indefinitely. They will not dress for home games, will not travel to away games, and not participate in any team activities. So my question to you, Billy, is how long should these guys stay suspended for?
Well, that's a great question. I didn't even think about that. Credit to Coach Alford, who was a great basketball player in his own right there at Indiana, right? And
yes.
Gee, who did he play for?
Bobby Knight.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. You think Bobby Knight would have put up with that stuff?
Oh no.
So I think Steve is probably thinking the same lines, and they'll probably be suspended. Let me guess, until they start playing Pac-12 games.
It's probably a good guess.
And then they'll somehow miraculously be reinstated.
Yeah. So we had this conversation earlier. I think they should be suspended for the year. I don't think I don't think their career should be over, but I think they should be suspended for the entire season. I mean, like I tweeted at a national basketball writer yesterday, Evan Daniels, who said that they should be suspended just a handful of games to get it over with. And I actually used the word bulletproof. I said your attitude is what helps make these guys feel like they're bulletproof.
Great minds think alike.
They created an international incident that the leaders of the two countries had to get involved in to diffuse to a great degree, and all you want to do is suspend them for a handful of games. That's not That's not teach them anything. I mean, I think just the fact, and you brought up a good point that I hadn't even really considered, but just the fact that the president did get involved in this, and you've got the kid from Ball State, the kid, he's 30 years old now, but the kid from Ball State who's been in jail for 14 months and has video evidence over there to show he's innocent, and the president didn't get involved in that in and of itself lends to the, hey, we're different, we're special, we're going to get treated special.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, it's the president of the United States. Whether you like President Trump or you don't like President Trump, I mean, I can't even fathom the president of the United States getting involved, but he did. I mean, he's got a lot of things on his plate, and for him to get involved in that, and like I said, if that was just 3 normal students from UCLA or Clemson or Furman, there's a pretty good chance that he wouldn't have gotten involved. But I mean, now I agree with you. I think that they should miss the whole year. But the fact of the matter is, I can almost write the statement for UCLA. They've paid their dues. They're remorseful. They've done all they can do. They're doing community service. We think it's important for them as student athletes to be back involved with the program and, blah, blah, blah. But that's, now I certainly could be wrong. I have been many times, but I wouldn't be surprised if come Pac-12 conference play, those guys are back playing. We'll see. We'll see. The catch is, I think we all agree on, is that Steve Alford played for Bobby Knight, and I bet you dollars to donuts that Steve has picked up the phone and called Coach Knight and gotten his counsel on this too.
Yeah, and through the obscenities, he may have gotten some pretty sound advice.
Yeah, well,
I think you're probably right about that.
Oh yeah, I guarantee you that.
Those blankety blanks. What the blankety blank were they thinking? That.
Yeah. Well, I could hear both of my old coaches at Clemson probably saying the same thing too.
Yeah.
Danny Ford and Bill Wilhelm. So there you go. Yeah, they weren't. They didn't mess around either.
They knew how to use those 4-letter words frontwards and backwards, didn't they?
Yeah, they were artists actually. Yeah, they were. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Oh, man.
Billy Davis joining us here on the program. I just got to ask you. I mean, this has been a story. It's been covered by ESPN and the sporting outlets. It's been covered by the major news outlets. But do you still think that the average American understands exactly what could have happened to these guys? I mean the actual danger they could have been in communist China, because I think it probably played out the way most people thought it was going to play out. That because of the basketball tour that they were on and high profile that somehow, some way it was going to be worked out and they weren't going to be detained in the country. But do you think most people realize what could have happened?
No, because in places like that, and there are American citizens that are being held against their will all over this world. Journalists, government workers, people that used to work for the government that don't anymore, they're traveling, that have just been taken into custody by foreign governments and have been held for months and years, for just because for various and sundry reasons that these governments have articulated. They believe they were spying or they're working against the government or for whatever reason, and they don't really have to release you. I mean, when you travel overseas to a lot of these places that, like I said, that don't have the freedoms that are guaranteed to not only U.S. citizens and people of foreign nationalities that are in this country, I don't believe that most Americans realize that these guys, how lucky they are. But once again, I think it's a 24-hour news cycle, and she's like, "Oh, did you hear about those knuckleheads from UCLA? Oh yeah, whatever," and it just moves on. So, but I to your point, yeah, I don't believe most Americans, because a lot of folks don't travel overseas and they're not really cognizant of how the rest of the world, especially in totalitarian states, how things work. They can throw you in prison or jail and then throw away the key, and they don't really owe you anything. You have zero rights over there.
Yeah, when they're being held by the Chinese police, they're being held in a luxurious hotel by the lake. So it's not like they're being kept in.
Nah, well, but the Chinese, they're certainly, on the other hand, they're not stupid. And they realize that the rest of the world is watching how they handle this.
Yep.
And so the Chinese government and China itself, the people, they're trying to move and be a leader in the world along with Russia and the United States and the rest of our allies. United Kingdom and Germany and Japan and all the other G20 countries, and that plays a role in how this thing was handled in a geopolitical sense that's much larger than all of us can really understand. So there's a lot of things that go into that as far as an international incident and how it plays out on the world stage, and that's I'm sure that factored into it. So I hate to throw the word geopolitical out. I sound like some policy wonk. But
anyway. Billy, I don't know about our young friend here, but I think you and I probably grew up in our own little small individual totalitarian societies, because my dad was prosecutor, judge, jury, and executioner in our house. And there was no democracy growing up in the Scott household. I'm assuming it was probably the same way in the Davis household back in the day.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, that's foundational. We all come from, I believe, like to believe. And then sometimes, a lot of the kids, let's face facts too, a lot of the kids that are Division I athletes, sometimes they don't grow up in the best of environments by no fault of their own. And then they get put into situations to make reasonable, rational decisions. And unfortunately, some of them are just incapable of doing that. They make bad decisions. And that's what's really, I believe, probably the hardest job of being a Division I basketball or football coach is you're responsible for these guys 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And not all of them are going to make good decisions. Not all of them are Deshaun Watson. Not all of them are kids like that. They're going to make bad decisions. And sometimes but once again, we're all really responsible. You can't point a finger at, well, I was raised this way or I didn't have that. I mean, when you're at a place like UCLA and you're given everything, and you're given a full ride, and you're given this free education to play basketball in Pauley Pavilion, and you get to travel around the world and play basketball, then there's a certain expectation that I think everybody realizes is put on your shoulders. And if you can't live up to that, then shame on you, and you should be suspended. So that's the way that rolls.
I completely agree with that. Let's move into some college football here, Billy. Our 3 games today. Game number 1 was Michigan versus Wisconsin. This is a must-win for the Badgers. It's going to be a test of 2 top defenses in the country. Wisconsin's number 1, Michigan's number 2. But I think it's going to come down to Wisconsin's quarterback, Alex Hornbrook. He's got 12 INTs on the year, and I think that will be the difference for the Wolverines, and the Wolverines beat the Badgers in Wisconsin. What do you think?
I'm going to go with Michigan, too. I think I'm just pulling for Michigan for obvious reasons, being a Clemson fan. So more than anything, I'm going to go with Michigan. I think their quarterback situation, even though they're playing with number 3, has gotten a little bit better, and they do have a great defense. So this is probably the time that it's going to happen, if it's going to happen at all. But it's tough to go into Camp Randall and do that, though. I promise you that.
Yeah, well, and I took Wisconsin. I mean, people have been selling Wisconsin short all year, and I think finally the last couple of weeks you're starting to see some folks come around and realize that, hey, this is a good football team. And yeah, I know they've had quarterback issues, but they're solid defensively and they can run the football. And playing at home for me was the tipping factor, so I took Wisconsin.
Yeah, normally I would go with that, but I just I don't know. There's something about Harbaugh and Michigan in this one. Hey, what we got next?
We got Texas versus West Virginia. The Longhorns are fighting to become bowl eligible and have a record above 500. The key matchup here to watch will be the Mountaineers' offense against the Longhorns' defense. But I think with the addition or the return of All-American offensive tackle Connor Williams for Texas will be the spark they need on offense, and I'm picking the Longhorns to beat the Mountaineers in Morgantown.
All right. Well, I'm going to go with my friend Dan Scott. I'm going to go with the Mountaineers again. They disappointed me the last time.
They did.
But I'm going to go with the Neers again in Morgantown.
Yeah, that's a good pick, Billy, and it's good to see that. Good to see that you are, showing your true American values there. Billy can't hear that, but I'm playing the West Virginia fight song.
Okay. No, unfortunately, I heard that played a lot in the Orange.
Oh yeah. Oh, I forgot about that. One.
And I wasn't. I know the tune very well.
I hadn't even thought about that, but I'm just more or less gigging force a little bit. But anyway, go Mountaineers. Third game.
UCLA versus number 11 USC. We get a preview of rivalry week next week. Things have not worked out for this year for the Bruins, but they have a really good QB in Josh Rosen. But the Trojans sport their own really good QB in Sam Darnold at the helm. But this game will come down to defense, and I think USC's defense is by far the superior of the two. I'm picking USC.
Yeah, USC all the way, no doubt.
Yeah, I went Trojans as well. It's the only game Forrest and I agreed on this week. So there we go.
All right. Well, that's fantastic.
Well, Billy, thank you much. What's your schedule like next week?
I'm available next week. I leave Tuesday, of course. Thursday's Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. And then I head out to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and then on to at the end of next week after Thanksgiving, we have Operation Christmas Child that's cranking up for Samaritan's Purse. So we're doing going to Albuquerque, then Denver to a processing center, and then back to Charlotte to a processing center, and then out to California, and then Reverend Graham has a festival in Hanoi, Vietnam in December that I will be at.
Wow. So, our church just packed and delivered to the processing center. I think it was in excess of 700 boxes.
Wow.
Well, that's fantastic.
So,
I think they're expecting over 14 million boxes this year for Samaritan's Purse and Operation Christmas Child. So anybody out there that packed a box, we certainly appreciate it.
All right, my friend. We will try to talk to you on Tuesday then. How about that?
Okay, man. Hey, y'all have a great weekend.
All right,
Thanks,
you too,
Billy.
Billy. Thank you very much. Yep. All right, there you go. Figured he would have some pretty interesting opinions on the whole UCLA thing.
It was fun to talk to him about that. Yeah. Very good stuff.
Let's take a break and we'll come back. We've kind of gone through all of Forrest's three things. You may have seen, those of you locally here, the announcement yesterday,
I believe,
that USC Upstate is leaving the Atlantic Sun and will be moving into the Big South Conference. We'll talk about that. I talked to my friend Todd Shaughnessy from the Spartanburg newspaper earlier this morning and got a little bit of background on that, and we'll share with you what he had to say when we return in the final segment of the show right after this.
Hey Furman fans, it's baseball season. Here at Ingalls, we know that as you root for the home team, sometimes you want more than just peanuts and Cracker Jack. And while we do deliver on your favorite ballpark classics, we're proud to offer a packed lineup of everything you need to make your next meal a home run. Ingalls, a proud sponsor of Furman Baseball and the official grocery store of Furman Athletics. Go Dins!
The Atlanta Bread Company at Cherrydale Point offers a dining experience that will have you coming back for more time and time again. Everything is freshly made on site, including the different varieties of bread and all the baked goodies. And the menu, Atlanta Bread Company offers a wide variety from hot soups and chili to hot and cold sandwiches and paninis. Even breakfast selections topped off with your choice of piping hot coffees. Come see for yourself. You'll love it. The Atlanta Bread Company at Cherrydale Point, proud sponsors of the Furman Paladins and the Dan Scott Show.
Looking for a good lunch spot in the Travelers Rest area? The Cafe at Williams Hardware is your place. Williams Hardware has food for the whole family, from their famous Reuben to the barbecue chicken quesadilla and their daily lunch specials, which includes the award-winning BLT unpimiented cheese with pepper jelly, served Tuesday to Thursday. Williams Hardware also serves breakfast on Saturdays from 8 to 11, perfect before Furman home game. And don't forget their gift shop, which offers items for anyone on your list. Go see your friends at the Cafe at Williams Hardware, 13 South Main Street in downtown TR. Full menu and operating hours at the Cafe at WilliamsHardware.com.
So you've got a busted phone or tablet screen. Time to get a new device? Nope. Time to give it CPR. CPR cell phone repair at Cherrydale can repair almost any phone or tablet screen on the market and usually can do it same day. In fact, if you have an iPhone, the fix usually takes less than an hour. CPO cell phone repair also can fix computers and gaming systems, both screens and hard drives. And they sell refurbished devices and new accessories. Stop by and see the new owner, Janet Culver, today and check them out on Facebook. That's CPR cell phone repair at Cherrydale, 864-282-9097. Give it CPR today. All right, welcome back to the show. Our thanks again to Billy Davis for joining us in the last segment and giving us some unique insight from his former Secret Service job on the UCLA China situation there, and I just continue to follow that and see how it plays out. And then I think he made a good point that again I hadn't considered, which is why I like to bring people like him on. Mm-hmm. Steve Alford playing for Bobby Knight.
I might be a little more harsh on him than say someone else without that
maybe
big of a that tough of a mentor, essentially.
Maybe it is maybe it's the X factor. We'll find out. But anyway, you may have seen yesterday that it was announced USC Upstate is going to be leaving the Atlantic Sun Conference effective at the end of this year. This is pending a vote on December 19th by the South Carolina Board of Trustees, University of South Carolina Board of Trustees, which would be just a formality. Mm-hmm. At the end of this year, they'll be leaving the Atlantic Sun and be joining the Big South as a full member beginning July 1st of 2018. So for the 2018-19 season, they'll be moving forward. Todd Shaughnessy wrote a very informative article about it in the Spartanburg Herald Journal, and I actually talked to him via Twitter this morning via direct message, and here's what he said about it, why the move makes sense for Upstate. So many teams are close, saves a bunch of money, boosts attendance, builds rivalry. He said the Atlantic Sun is brutal, man. One year basketball had quarterfinals in New Jersey, and 2 days later had semifinals in Fort Myers, Florida.
Wow.
So
makes no sense to be in that conference.
Yeah. So
or even to have that conference of someone in Florida and in New Jersey. That just is.
Well, what they do, they play the first round games on campus, and then the semifinals and finals.
I
are
see.
at one
I see.
site.
Okay.
So, Upstate would have
for that,
gone to New Jersey.
Yeah.
And then had to go to
So for those small schools, it does not make sense to have schools that broad a range, in my opinion.
Of course, the Big South has three other schools in the state of South Carolina: Presbyterian College, Winthrop, and Charleston Southern. 4 in North Carolina: Gardner-Webb, which is just 30 miles away from Upstate, Campbell, High Point, and Asheville, as well as 3 in Virginia: Liberty, Longwood, and Radford. Now, the Big 12 itself is going to be undergoing, or Big 12, Big South itself is going to be undergoing a bit of a makeover, because Liberty's intention is to leave to go into the FBS ranks. There's one other football school that is leaving that escapes me right now. There are 2 schools who are just associate members from a football standpoint. There's only 4 full-time football members in the league. So Todd said that Big South football may not even be, quote, a thing in the near future. And add to that Presbyterian College's intent is to drop scholarships at State Division I, but move to the Pioneer League. Now, Todd also told me that there are folks down at PC who started a petition to try and stop that from happening. But it is a move that the Board of Trustees apparently is ready to pull the trigger on. They would stay Division I, but moving to the Pioneer League would make them a non-scholarship football program, which obviously saves money for the university.
A whole heap of money.
Yeah. But for USC Upstate, it has no football program. This this is a good move. I mean, it is going to save them money, and it's going to build some natural local and regional rivalries.
I think it's going to be great for their basketball program.
Yeah.
So, I mean, because you got Winthrop in there. Asheville's going to be really good. So it's just going to be an all-around great conference for their basketball program.
Yeah, their two profile sports have been their men's basketball program and their softball program.
Surprisingly, their softball program is extremely good for a long time.
Yeah, softball program
has
been very good for a long time. So you'd have to think that the combination of saving money on travel expenses and then, as Todd pointed out, the extreme likelihood of increasing attendance because you're going to have teams that are more locally, geographically, that should help on all fronts. And I think it does create some very natural rivalries, especially if PC stays in the league, and if they don't, Upstate and Gardner-Webb just two different states but 30 miles away from each other.
That'd be great for them, kind of a little battle of the Upstate for them right there, if you will. So
anyway, that was a very interesting piece of news coming out of Spartanburg, the other school in Spartanburg, and I think that's going to be a good move for them.
No, I think so too. Hopefully that gets passed, and that'll create an even bigger buzz around that school in the conference, Big South.
All right, what do we have on this date?
1961, the Mets circular logo is unveiled, and it shows the 5 different boroughs. That's been pretty synonymous with that ball club now. In 1998, Roger Clemens becomes the first pitcher to win 5 Cy Young Awards. Incredible. In 1999, Pedro Martinez wins the Cy Young. And this is pointed out because this is possibly the greatest year by a starting pitcher in the history of baseball. That's one of my arguments, at least, would be Pedro's 1999 season. In 2000...
Have you checked out Bob Gibson from 1968?
I have, yeah. It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
The 1.12 ERA, I think, would be the thing that would jump right off the page.
313 strikeouts for Pedro. That's pretty good. Yeah. 2010, Roy Halladay wins his second Cy Young Award winner. Second Cy Young Award. Just wanted to point that out because he did recently pass, and I want to tip our caps to him. And then non-basketball or non-baseball news, 1976, Rick Barry. He finally missed a free throw, ending his streak of 60 consecutive made free throws for the Golden State Warriors.
You know his free throw.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. The underhanded free throw.
Yeah. Granny style, as they say.
But it worked.
It sure did. And the thing is, his son also, what's his name, played at Florida last year. He shot underhanded as well, and he shot, I think, 89% from the free throw line. So it works, Dan. It works.
And you wonder why more players who struggle from the free throw, especially big men.
Yeah.
Why they don't experiment with that? And it's not cool.
Exactly. Yeah, not as sexy as everything else, but there's more touch to it. I think if you go underhand, especially if you're a big man, because you're already going to get pretty close to the basket. I think it's easier to have more touch on it than from up here. So that's just my opinion. Trivia question?
Yeah.
The question was, when was the last time Furman won 7 SoCon games? And the correct answer is 2001. They went 7-1 that year. They also won 7 SoCon games in 1999, 1989, and 1980. So 4 times they've won 7 SoCon games in Furman football history.
Got a chance to make it number 5.
Yes, sir.
This weekend at Samford. So looking forward to it. We'll talk much more about that game tomorrow on the Friday edition of the program. Good stuff today.
Yes, sir.
Good show. That'll do it for us. We will be back with you tomorrow, same time, same place on the Friday edition of the show. Until then, for Forrest, I'm Dan. God bless you. So long, everybody. We will see you on Friday.